The following presentation is for the Bancroft Substation Major Variance, case number VM25-0006. The applicant and property owner, Xcel Energy, is requesting relief from the provision in the Lakewood zoning ordinance that allows a maximum of 7-foot tall fencing for a public utility installation. The applicant is requesting Board of Adjustment approval of a major variance to allow for 10-foot tall fencing for a public utility installation for security purposes. The major variance process allows for Board of Adjustment review, as well as neighborhood involvement when there is an extraordinary or exceptional situation. If the Board of Adjustment approves this major variance, the applicant may apply for a fence permit for the existing substation. The Bancroft Substation at 898 South Wadsworth Boulevard is located on the northeast corner of West Kentucky Avenue and Wadsworth Boulevard. The site is approximately 5 acres in size. The existing site includes the substation, which is an existing unstaffed facility. The Public Service Company of Colorado, or Xcel Energy, has owned the property since 1955. There is an existing 6-foot tall chain link fence surrounding the substation with an additional 1 foot of barbed wire. This slide depicts an aerial view of the subject property with the site boundary outlined in red. To the north of the site is the Weir Gulch and a multifamily development, separated by an approximately 100-foot open space buffer with a multi-use trail. To the east of the site is Bonfie Park. To the south of the site is an office space on the corner of West Kentucky Avenue and Wadsworth Boulevard, along with single-family homes. To the west of the site, across Wadsworth Boulevard, is Belmar Park. The property is zoned R112 large lot residential as indicated by the yellow on the zoning map. Surrounding zoning designations include mixed-use residential suburban in light pink, mixed-use residential urban in light purple, small lot residential in beige, and any city park in green is zoned large lot residential. This slide depicts the existing substation and existing fence, along with an elevation view of the proposed 10-foot tall fence. The applicant is requesting relief from the maximum allowed fence height of 7 feet for a public utility installation. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow a 10-foot tall chain link fence to replace the existing 6-foot tall chain link fence with barbed wire. The additional fence height is requested to add additional security to the existing substation. This slide depicts the site plan for the proposed 10-foot tall fence. The red line depicts the property line, and the blue line represents the proposed fence location. The fence will be placed in the same location of the existing fence and maintain a 2-foot setback from the back of the sidewalk along Wadsworth Boulevard. This slide depicts an example of the proposed 10-foot tall fence from another Xcel facility. Notification for the public hearing was provided pursuant to the requirements of the City of Lakewood zoning ordinance. Written notices were mailed to 579 tenants and property owners and 6 registered neighborhood organizations. Signs with information about the public hearing were posted on the property, and review referrals were sent to utility and service providers. No objections were received. Staff's recommendation for the major variance request is based on specific review criteria. Article 2 of the zoning ordinance lists 6 criteria that need to be considered when making a decision on the major variance request. The first criteria is that the strict application of the standard will result in unnecessary hardship on the property owner. The applicant maintains that federal security requirements from the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, or NERC, that are enforced by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC, are in contrast with the requirements in the zoning ordinance, therefore creating an extraordinary situation for the applicant. According to the applicant, a minimum 10-foot tall fence height is necessary. The second criteria is that the hardship is not self-imposed. The circumstances for the variance request are not self-imposed. Federal security standards require enhanced protection at the substation. Additionally, the Bancroft substation is an existing unstaffed facility. These are conditions that arise from federal regulatory and safety requirements and therefore are not self-imposed. The third criteria is that the variance will comply with the spirit of the zoning ordinance. The variance will allow enhanced security and generally observes the purpose, intent, and spirit of the zoning ordinance. Additionally, the updates to the zoning ordinance adopted by City Council in October of 2025 will allow for fences up to 15 feet tall for public utility installations. The proposed 10-foot fence height complies with the purpose and intent of the future zoning ordinance as well. The fourth criteria is that the variance will not impair the use or development of adjacent properties. The variance request is not anticipated to impair the use or development of adjacent properties because the new fence will be installed in generally the same location as the existing fence and all other zoning requirements will be met. Therefore, the request will not impair the use or development of adjacent properties. The fifth criteria is that the variance is the minimum variance that will afford relief with the least modification possible. The proposed variance for fence height is the minimum variance that will reasonably allow XL to meet federal requirements and secure the facility. Additionally, it will be less than the allowed fence height in the future zoning ordinance.
The sixth and final criteria is that the variance is the minimum variance that will afford relief if a design requirement cannot be met. The proposed 10-foot tall fence will be in a similar style as the existing chain link fence, but will not include the barbed wire. The proposed fence will meet all other standards in the zoning ordinance, such as fence placement and material. The fence height will be the only exception and is the minimum variance that will reasonably allow XL to secure the facility.
Staff's finding of fact and order are as follows. The strict application of the maximum fence height standard will result in peculiar or unnecessary hardship on the property owner due to the inability to properly secure the existing substation. The external regulatory and safety requirements are not self-imposed. The requested variance complies with the purpose and intent of the maximum fence height standards and will generally observe the spirit of the Lakewood zoning ordinance and the future zoning ordinance. The requested variance is not anticipated to substantially or permanently impair the appropriate use or development of the adjacent properties. The requested variance is the minimum that will afford relief, and the notification, posting, and procedural requirements listed in the zoning ordinance have been satisfied. In conclusion, staff recommends that the Board of Adjustment approve the variance request, case number VM25-0006, to allow for fencing up to 10 feet in height at 898 South Wadsworth Boulevard. This concludes staff's presentation for the Bancroft Substation Major Variance, case number VM25-0006.